Welcome everyone to the Voice of Terminus show. We're joined today by Lex. Say hello, Lex.
Hello, everybody.
And look, we have Martini with us.
Hi.
So Josh isn't here today. He had some real life business to take care of, and stuck with the ugly two. So do you want to go and start it off, Lex?
Sure. Well, first I'm going to say thank you for agreeing to the interview. We've been looking forward to this. So tell us a little bit about your gaming background and what got you interested in Pantheon in the first place.
Well, I'm old. So, no, I was introduced to gaming by my cousins when I was like 7 or 8. And it started out with like Nintendo and Nintendo 64 and Zelda and Harvest Moon. Oh my gosh, I played the crap out of Harvest Moon. And then my first computer game that I ever played was Zork 1, the text-based RPG. And I loved it. It was so much fun. And my cousin, one of my favorite memories from that is my cousin and I were like, we can just tell him to do anything. So we're like, kiss me. And he's like, I'd sooner kiss a pig.
Nice.
And then I started to slowly get into MMOs. Like I started with Guild Wars, and then I moved into WoW and, you know, Rift and Ion and pretty much like every MMO. Like I'm a junkie for sure. And then I don't even remember how I heard about Pantheon. I just kind of like stumbled onto the Kickstarter and pledged right away. I was so excited. And then that didn't, you know, the Kickstarters, we all know, didn't come to fruition. So then when that ended, I went to the website and pledged there. And now it's like, what, 2-3 years later, and now we're here. Started at the bottom, now we're here.
Nice. So what's the most exciting thing for you in Pantheon at this time?
The class interdependency and the uniqueness I'm really, really excited about. I feel like that's lacking a lot in games now, where it's like, I don't feel special running around the world. It's like, well, I love to heal and buff people. And that was my thing. And it was like, people actually wanted me around, aside from my A+ personality. And I feel like that kind of got lost lately. Like I used to macro commands like a buff, and then to a say command like, may the goddess guide you, name, and I would like chase people to buff them. My group would be like, where are you going? I'm like, just a minute, this guy won't stop, I have to buff him.
Oh god. Now I just got that picture of like a lasso with like, get over here, I need to buff you.
Yeah, I'm like, excuse me, sir, if you could just a second.
Cool. So what class and race are you likely to pick, and why?
Well, race, I love elves. I just love them. So I have kind of a soft spot for elves. So I'll definitely have an elf for sure. And the Darkmer are definitely intriguing, and I usually play like the good guys. So the fact that the Darkmer is kind of not so good, it'll give me a chance to, you know, bring my bad side forward a little bit more. And then for classes, I'm an alcoholic, so I'll probably play everything. But I'm generally a healer or support type, and the two that stand out to me are the druid and the shaman, because I love kind of the natural magic of the earth that they kind of call upon.
Very cool. Yeah. So since you're a fan of the elves, what is your opinion on the Pantheon elves? And I know this is off script, but
It's all good.
Like, I'm not prepared for this question.
Yeah. What's your opinion of how they're putting that little twist on the elves in Pantheon?
I mean, so like classic elves, yes, like I love classic elves, but then that's kind of something that's like, hey, we all know about that. So the fact that there's something a little bit different, it just is more exciting to me. And then especially like with the Darkmer too, it's like I think of them as like kind of an elfish class in my own mind. So yeah, the fact that they're like all like kind of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't evil or whatever. They're kind of like dark, and then there's the whole water element. I think is really fresh. So I'm hoping that it kind of breathes some new life into an old classic.
Amen to that. So now I'll actually get back on script here. So now that we know your favorite race and class, what is your least favorite?
Well, I've never been too much of a melee player. Now that said, when I make my alts, I will have melee in there somewhere, but that's kind of my the least. It's not that I necessarily dislike playing them, but that's like my least favorite. And least favorite race. I'm really.
I know what's coming. I think I do.
I'm such a girl, and I have to like be cute. And one thing though that I guess might surprise some people is the small races kind of freak me out. Like I don't know why. Like I don't usually play like halflings and like gnomes and stuff, like the classic small gnomes, because I don't know why, they just like freak me out. But halflings in Pantheon, they look I don't know if it's like I don't know. They could just come out of nowhere and be like surprise, and I don't know. But solely on like my being a girl and cuteness, the scar, because they're all like, you know. But who knows? I will probably make one because I have to make one of everything, and I might grow to love them.
So if you were stuck at a choice between doing a melee character or playing a scar, which would you choose and why?
Probably I'd have to go with a melee character because I can find enjoyment in like any class, especially when in Pantheon like everything's going to be so unique. But like you can't fix ugly. So
story of my life.
That sounds terrible.
Wow. You heard it here first, people.
I'm a terrible person.
So I'm going to go off script as well. So tell us about that time where you watched the trailer.
Oh my God.
We all know that, maybe everybody knows, or some people might not know, but Martini is scared of clowns. And she ended up watching the It trailer. So tell us how that was for you.
Oh my God, awful. I don't know when this like aversion to clowns started, because when I was like 8, I had a clown on my birthday and it was fine. But in my old age, like they just scare the hell out of me. And the whole premise was if I had a stream goal that was to get my VIP pledge, and I was like, this is never gonna happen. So I was like, all right, if I make this, I'll watch the It trailer. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, joke's on you, like it's never gonna happen. And then it happened. I had to watch it, and it was, and I'd had a few drinks too, so it was just like my reaction time was off, and it was. Yeah, I actually fell out of my chair. If you've seen the clip.
I have not, but I will shortly.
It was terrifying. I'm pretty sure that's like my most viewed clip because people love to watch other people struggle.
Suffering cells, I guess.
Yeah.
So, what mechanics are you mostly looking forward to?
The class interdependency I'm really excited about, and then in one of the future questions, I won't go like too much into it now because we're gonna talk about it in the future. But the colored mana, I'm really excited to see how that kind of plays out. But with the class interdependency, like I just miss being able to bring something unique to a party, and if you have to form like a pug group, or even if you're playing with your friends, you know, like we're like, oh yeah, like Yarn's gonna come run this with us. We're like, oh sweet, like he's a whatever, like that'll be awesome to have, you know, him bring this to the party. Or like if I'm a shaman, it's like, oh, I have a wolf, and or you know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So going off script again, from chat question, what are you drinking?
It's green juice that I made with my juicer. I think this one's like cucumber, apple, grape. Yeah, it's
sounds like
healthy.
ground up halfling to me.
So,
It's really good.
Martini, if you could play Pantheon right now, what and where would you go and do?
I would want to explore all the starting areas and all of the main cities first. Because I think I just want to see how all of the races live and breathe and their, their unique little niches and corners of the world. And I just, especially the races and stuff that we don't know too much about so far. Especially like the evil races, we don't know too much about that. Like, I want to see how the Scar live, like what it looks like over there. What, like, is there people getting like, the crap kicked out of them in the street, or like what goes on over there? Like, I don't
Are
know.
there even streets?
Yeah.
Are they?
We don't need. Really.
Do they have houses, or do they just live in the
In
dirt?
filth.
In
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. So, share with us one of your more standout or funny moments from when you played an MMO.
Oh man. Okay, so my funniest moment in an MMO would have to be when WildStar first came out. If any of you guys played WildStar, like the dungeons were really hard. If anyone remembers, like they were really, really hard. So I was playing with a group of guildies, and then we had one pug that we picked up, and I was healing, obviously, and my character's name, as always, is Martini. And this pug kept stopping and being like, why is Marty not doing any DPS? Like, why is Marty not carrying his weight? And we're all like, first of all, it's Martini, and second of all, like, she's healing. Like, you couldn't really DPS if you were healing at the start of that game. Like, it was so difficult. So we're like, she's healing, like, and he kept calling me Marty, and we're like, she's healing, and he's like, so what you're telling me is that Marty here is just like AFKing through this whole dungeon? And we're like, dude. And then my whole group was like, you know what, this guy just doesn't get it. So they started saying, like, we're like, Marty, like, what are you doing? Get the flux capacitor, like. What are you doing, Marty? And it was hilarious because this guy just had no
It's about your kids,
like,
Marty.
concept and kept calling me Marty. Yeah, it's about the kids, Marty.
God. So, if you could pick 3 things to be implemented into Pantheon, what would they be and why?
Fishing. So yeah, I love fishing, and we know that that's going to be a thing, but I just can't wait to try it. I'd love to see areas that promote more of an RP environment, so things like, interactable items like wardrobe. I always have to have like my town clothes when I go into town, like a nice little like robe or whatever, instead of like my, traveling fighting.
Your dirty adventuring clothes.
Yeah, or like, I don't know, some like stuff you could equip in your offhand, like in WoW, there's like flowers or like that big fish.
Leave
like,
your sword and shield outside.
I don't know. Just to make it like a little bit different. And I'd love to see some kind of like in-game event planning and scheduling, so that you could like publicly host events, so people could see like, oh, what's going on this week, and they can see like, what's happening. Or you could choose, just to have it so that only your guild can see it. Or if you're familiar with Final Fantasy, they had like chat channels called link shells, and you had to join it, and it was kind of like a guild but not really. And so I think it would be cool to have the ability to sort events by link shell, and then also like that link shells were a thing, so that you're in a guild, but say your guild's not super into RP, but you kind of like to do it on the side, you could join like an RP link shell, and then they'll have events that are kind of separate, that maybe there's like a racial based one, like who knows. I mean, really, the sky's the limit. But I'd like to see something like that.
Not really to interrupt, but like, we know that Pantheon's being made by a lot of guys that made EQ. In EQ, we had the ability to make custom chat channels and even password protect them. Would something like that almost fill that need?
Yeah, where it's like, it's not necessarily like just a chat channel, but like, I know in Final Fantasy you could go and you could see the link shell and who the members were. Like that, it would be nice to be able to do that, and where, yeah, like say like you had to get invited, or there was a password, so it's not just like anyone. I mean, maybe we could have the option to have it open, but it would be nice to have some kind of, ability to control who comes in and out.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we, on one of the shows, the bulletin board idea. Doing it through the bulletin board.
Yeah, that's probably a very similar. Just so that it makes more of a social environment, and there's more, instead of like, oh, this guild is having a private thing over here, and you're like, what's going on? That looks cool. When they're like, anyone can come, like, let's have a party.
I'm sold.
So that was number 1, and number 2 was number 3.
And then I guess Lake Shell, it kind of played into it, but the whole
that was technically 3.
And then fishing was like 3.5.
The people that love to fish absolutely love their fishing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I can't do it. I get bored. I don't know what it is.
I love it.
So, what is your number 1 thing from the game tenets that stand out, and why? Kitten, I can hear her doing something bad. A belief that the greatest sense of accomplishment comes when it is shared and earned, and I think that is so true, because working together and sharing an experience, it totally multiplies the sense of accomplishment and like the love that you have for what just happened. And I'm so excited to put that to the test and try it out. Yep.
And then you can relive that. You're like, oh, remember like in beta when we did that thing, and then blah blah blah, and then you did that, and like we thought we were gonna die, but then we didn't. Like, yeah, we're so good at this game.
So, on that, what's the number 1 thing from the Pantheon difference that you like or want to see the most?
The colored mana, because it's such a unique and interesting idea that I personally have never come across in any game that I've played, and it's going to be a really refreshing twist, I think, to the caster classes. And I'm hoping that's going to help each class and player to feel even more unique than they already do in their own class. Like, you could have like 5 druids in the guild, but then this druid decides they want to have this mana, and this druid's like, oh, I already have like, a bunch of gems saved up of this mana, or, however that's going to work. It's just going to create a little bit more diversity, I think.
Yeah. So if you could spend a single day with anybody from VR, who would it be and why?
Zinx! Girls' Day! We need a girls' day where we can just eat all of the food and like drink all of the drinks and nerd out and get away from all the stinky boys.
Hey.
Okay, yeah.
I showered, all right?
I showered this month.
I didn't. Maybe I still need to segregate ourselves. I don't know.
So we already know you're an alcoholic. But is there any driving reason as to why you're an alcoholic? Mixing it up a bit on you.
Oh, you are. Well, I tend to, in life as well as games, I tend to kind of like get bored easily. And I like to play different classes depending on my mood. So like in WoW, for example, because that was like my first real like experience where people were like, what are you have another alt? Like, we actually, my boyfriend that I was dating at the time, we actually coined the term secret alts, because we were like, shh, we make secret alts, and people on TeamSpeak be like, where are you guys? We're like, oh, we're just doing a thing on this, we're just doing this other thing. And they'd be like, where are your characters? So yeah, and I like to explore, like new areas, new races, kind of from their point of view, because yeah, you can have your main and like go to those areas, but it doesn't feel the same to me as if I were to make that race. And while I'm normally a healer support and not much of a melee player, having some melee alts can be fun. Like sometimes I just want to like get up close and personal and bash stuff in the face, depends on the kind of day that I've had, I guess.
I understand completely.
That's why you're going to play a Scar.
That's right.
Because you want to
I'm gonna be a
bash
Scar.
things in the face every day,
No,
all
I
day.
want to be a Scar Direlord so I can suck the life out of people. I want to watch the light just fade from their eyes. I mean, I want to give people darkness hugs.
It's like a struggle. Like you're snuggling,
go.
but you're also struggling.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm putting that in my pull macro.
So, what's your guild preference?
Well, something that is tight knit, that feels like family. Something where everyone can just like be themselves, not take things too seriously. You know, there's no drama. People can, everyone can joke around, but people know when it's like, okay, it's time to like, there's a fight. Like, let's, focus, and then you can get right back into the banter. In the past, I've hosted in-game events and video chat hangouts on Friday nights for guilds, and I hope that I can find a place that I can do that again, because that's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe meet up in real life, who knows? I've had a couple instances where I've traveled to the US to meet guildies and had like the best time ever. So I'm really hoping I can find that in Pantheon.
So what other interests outside of gaming do you have?
Juicing. I love it.
You just got a new juicer as well, right?
I did, and I spent $120 on just fruits and vegetables. Like, my cart was full, and I had like 20 apples. Like, I'm sure the lady was like, "What the hell? Like, what are you doing?"
I don't
That
think
is-
I've eaten that many fruits and vegetables in my life.
Exactly.
That's the best thing about juicing is there's like so many fruits and vegetables in one. Like, you could never eat that much, but to drink it, it's like no big deal. I also love to read, and my cats. I just love my cats. My new kitten that I just brought home yesterday is somewhere around here. She's a terror. And I also have a strange interest in quantum physics that a lot of people. Oh, there's Maisie. She heard me talking. You want to say hi, Maze? This is my first baby. She's big.
That look is just like, let me go.
Yep.
You need some attention, Maze. He's trying to get away from the kitten, I think.
Possibly. So when you sit down to play your games, and it's going to be a very long session, like a raid or something. Do you have any kind of like rituals, or maybe even a superstition?
Well, now I have cat hair all over me. My gaming ritual, when I think about like a long gaming session, I think like, okay, it's launch, I'm going to be playing this for like, I'm going to take days off work. We're going to, make a big thing of it. Usually I'll get bottled water. So I'll have, quick, cold, I can just grab it. I will prep snacks. When WildStar launched, I had meat and cheese and pickles and crackers all cut up and ready to go, and then I had vegetables and fruits all cut up and ready to go, and breakfast sandwiches and like freezer meals and like soup, so I could just like go warm something up quickly and like eat it. And the thing about when you're having like a long gaming session, so you want to make sure you're hydrated, obviously. What is going on? Oh my lord.
Do you want to go and check that out real quick?
I think they're fine. Figure it out. You want to make sure you're hydrated, but you want to make sure that you're not eating a lot of like really like high calorie and high carb food, so like a bunch of bread and stuff. So, and like chewing will help keep you alert and awake. So like celery and things you have to chew, like nuts, that kind of stuff I'll keep on hand. I'll have like my
really unhealthy here.
My comfy clothes. Yeah, I get all prepped and ready, and then it's like, and go. Usually I'll have my alarm set, so I'll sleep for like 4 to 6 hours and then wake up and then game, and then it's a science. I have it down to a science.
Sounds like it, but sounds like it's an awfully a much more healthy ritual or habit versus like someone like me, where it's like I've got a couple 2 liters of soda, I got some potato chips, and then I got the bucket I'm going to throw up in
Well,
because I'm going to
I do have
overindulge.
some treats. I do have some treats.
Next.
But not as bad as I used to be when I was like, 15 or 16. Now I try to keep it mostly healthy and then have some like treats in there. Plus, after I eat like a bunch of like junk food, I'm just tired anyway, and I'm like, I can't sleep. No sleeping.
Healthy's what makes you happy. Do not take my soda away, and my coffee, and my bacon.
Oh, bacon.
So, the most important question that we always have.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the BOT host with the most?
Well, it's come to my understanding, Yarn, doesn't your wife make cake?
Yes.
Yeah, I like cake.
Mine makes healthy cakes.
Ooh,
like
this is
zucchini
tricky
cakes.
now. I did not know this. I
My
just
wife
really
makes
like
amazing
cake, and this
zucchini.
is like, it's not even about you guys. It's like about your wives.
I know.
But I can be, yeah, persuaded.
Start the
Cake.
Jeopardy music.
Dun 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 dun
Whoever
dun.
beats me
Bonus
cake,
bonus
that's the
round.
new trend.
Hey Lex, has your wife currently got a cake made?
As the future of this decision is hanging on that question, I'm going to say yes.
Well, mine does as well. She has a unicorn.
I hate you.
Love cake.
So, I guess it's an undecided. Well, you know what? Actually, we'll do this
We'll give it to
differently.
the wives.
No. We'll give this one to Josh. We'll give that one to Josh.
Everybody needs
Josh.
one.
Because Josh hasn't got a single vote, has he?
I think he had one.
One.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Okay.
give that to
I'll
Josh
vote,
to keep it
I'll
interesting.
vote for Josh then.
Okay.
Okay, that works.
We'll give it to Josh.
Pity vote.
So, excuse me. Your final words for VR.
Final words. I love you. Thank you so much for making this game, and thank you for my sweet shirt. My Pantheon shirt on. And just, yeah, like high five. And I'm just, yeah, thanks so much for letting the VIPs and I mean everyone in general, I guess, get so involved in the making of this game, and I can't wait to fight alongside you.
Nice. So that's the interview for today. We all know that you're coming in the middle of Thanksgiving and all that good stuff. Next Thursday we will be doing a mechanics show on something that we've kind of come and thought about ourselves. Something to do with reputation and conscience kind of system that we had a chat about. We'll be talking about that next week, and we'll see you all Tuesday for Tavern Talk. We'll be talking about the news from October, because we weren't there in October, obviously, and what's been going on so far in November. But it won't be a very long show, just to let you guys know. And yeah, thanks for joining us, Martini. It was good to have you on finally.
Yes, long overdue, but better late than never.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yep. So with that, guys, have a great Thanksgiving and a great Thanksgiving weekend. And thank you for all of you for showing up and hanging out with us, and we'll see you all on Tuesday.
Yep. Be safe, everybody.